Tell me, my sweetings, what is life without death? Joy without suffering? Light without darkness? You're still not sure? What about pleasure without pain? Sanity without madness? What is flame without frenzy? In today's video, I shall be shedding all my current beliefs and joining the esteemed cult of the frenzied zealots. Now, before we begin, it's important to establish what exactly a zealot is. Google defines a zealot as a person who is fanatical and uncompromising in pursuit of their ideals. In other words, zealots are technically the members of a cult. Now, I know someone is about to start typing, actually, the frenzied flame is an outer god that is the embodiment of chaos. Yeah, shut up. It's f***ing cult, alright? Just take a look at this room and tell me that this isn't incredibly culty. Anyway, the reason we get to play as the zealot is due to Elden Ring's Convergence mod, a fantastic upgraded version of Elden Ring that doesn't really need any introduction. But that's enough for yapping from me. And without further ado, let's join this cult, shall we? Of course, as with every run, I first gotta give myself a name that feels appropriate for the build, and this time, I feel like I really outdid myself with Shabriri Graped Me. Hopefully I don't need to explain that one. I then turned myself into this decrepit, scary old man who seemed to fit the theme of a frenzy flame-obsessed zealot perfectly. And now that I've got your attention with some fancy edits that I probably won't use for the rest of the video,
step into my web.
You can join me as I take a quick trip to the ailing village, where I spawn next to a couple of frenzied, but friendly, rats. Definitely not my favorite spawn location in the Convergence. I don't think anything can outdo the one from my last video. It's here in the ailing village that we take a look at the path of the zealot, which takes us on a weird and wondrous journey. The frenzied zealot primarily uses faith and intelligence with fire damage, following locations of frenzied flame spells. Trimming rune of frenzied flame, Impaler catacombs, glowing rune of frenzied flame found after defeating Vike, Noise, shining rune of frenzied flame, Gale Cave, I don't know where that is, radiant rune of frenzied flame given by Hayeta in the frenzied flame prescription. So of course we've got to do the Lord of Frenzied Flame storyline, obviously. I mean, that makes sense. The notable armor sets for the frenzied zealot are Frenzied Maiden set found after completing Gale Cave, Fingerprint set found after defeating Round Table Knight Vike, Pneumatic Merchant set found in burial chambers beneath the subterranean shunning grounds. And then weapons for the frenzied zealot: Ivory Sickle, Nomad's Killage. That sounds new. Three Finger Blade, Vike's Force Spear, and Frenzied Flame Seal. Drops from Shabriri's Chosen. So Shabriri's Chosen is a new boss, which I'm pretty keen to go fight, which we'll definitely go and fight to pick up the seal. Feeling slightly more aligned with my purpose, I shoot straight towards the Impaler's catacombs. Now this place was surprisingly an absolute nightmare of a first dungeon. These basic enemies could absolutely laser beam you with their madness spells, and shockingly, in the Impaler's catacombs, you can quite literally be impaled on the roof. How wonderful. It was not all bad though. I did manage to make a friend along the way, and we bonded over some nice music. At the end of the catacombs, I find myself up against the frenzied watchdog. Now, these guys are awfully predictable, and combine that with high precision, high damaging long range spells like Frenzied Flare, and you'll give yourself a very easy victory. With victory comes reward, this time in the form of the Shimmering Rune of Frenzy, that gave us some handy new spells to play around with. But to become a true zealot, we need a lot more spells, and according to our path, the next rune could only be obtained after defeating Fingerprint Vike. Now, some of you may not know this, but before your arrival as a Tarnished in the Lands Between, Vike was the closest out of all the Tarnished to becoming Elden Lord, but ended up sacrificing himself to save his maiden. What a legend. This of course means that Vike is an absolute warrior specimen, a literal champion of the Tarnished. This was not going to be an easy fight, and I wasn't sure exactly what my strategy. Ah yes, inescapable frenzy. Ever struggle against NPC invaders? Well, struggle no more. As the name suggests, this incantation is well and truly inescapable. But Vike was literally the only NPC fight that was necessary for this run, so it was pretty much a one and done before I got the juicier spells. And speaking of juicy spells, let's get drinking, shall we? The glowing rune of frenzy gave us several notable goodies. Hiatus Flare was definitely one of the best of the build, being an incredibly quick casting and high damage variation of Frenzy Burst. Mind Melt was also an exceptionally good debuff with a bunch of different effects which I can't quite remember, so here it is on screen. And then Howl of Shabriri was changed to grant only an additional fire damage buff, which is still pretty solid. And Tendrils of Shabriri is ass, so it's not worth discussing. For rune number 3, it was time for Caelid and into the Gaul Cave. Gaul? I don't know how the fuck I'm supposed to say this word. This dungeon was a relatively easy run through for an Elden Ring veteran like me, although it did seem to have a rat infestation problem. Avoiding the rats like the plague, I hurtled my way through the dungeon right to the very end to come up against the frenzied troll. Now, this fight wasn't exactly difficult per se, but my unupgraded equipment was doing pitiful damage. The trick was to either stay very far away from him and to spam him with long-range spells, or to get behind him, because if you were anywhere around the mid-range from him, you get absolutely shafted by his frenzied flame attack. Now, I don't know about you, but I prefer to be the shafter, not the shafty, and I was deeply unsatisfied with the damage output I was currently doing. So I decided to take a quick break from the troll, go and upgrade my weapons. In deciding which weapon I wanted, I pretty much just chose the one that sounded the most, interesting, wink wink, and decided to go with the 3-finger blade. According to our path, this oddly named weapon could be found in the Yellow Annex Ruins, which is all the way in the consecrated snowfields. This wasn't a problem though, as I could hop into this TP and teleport straight there. However, I was locked into a boss fight against the Albinoric Wolf Rider before I could explore. Now, if I do say so myself, I came up with an incredibly big brain strategy that allowed me to completely outplay the Wolf Rider. I then headed straight to the ruins, where I found this scary looking man who wielded a sword that looked exactly what I had imagined a 3-finger blade would look like. It turns out he was quite tough, and after cheesing him from long range, I discovered that he didn't even drop the sword. Lovely. After some confusion, I eventually managed to find a way to jump into this hidden chamber and pick up the 3-finger blade. And to say this thing was strong would be an understatement. Oh, we jumped over the foot. That's nice. Oh, that's very nice. Okay, now this should be it. Yeah, there we go. And then we'll finish off with the skill. And then whee! Whoop! And then whoop! Ooh, that's nice. That's very nice. As much fun as I was having, a fancy new blade was not our only new toy to play around with. The Frenzied Troll gave us the Shining Rune of Frenzy, giving us access to 4 new spells. 3-finger Flare was actually really strong, but not as versatile as Hiatus Flare because it had a very long wind-up time. Unendurable Frenzy is in the base game, so I didn't really want to use it that much, even though it is known for being very strong. Disintegration was also another solid debuff that I could combine with Mind Melt, and finally, Eye of Frenzy, the one I was most excited for, left me feeling bitterly disappointed. Not only did it do basically no damage, but it also didn't give you any exceptional posture damage like it said it would in the description. It also destroyed my frame rate. Straight up doo-doo garbage that I would never use again. Thank you very much. Now, for the final stretch of completing the build, we still had some work to do. The first thing was to start off Hiatus' quest on the way to Castle Morn by speaking to Irina, who gives us the letter for her daddy. We take said letter to her daddy, murder his ass, and then pick up the Shabriri grape that he leaves behind. Nice and easy so far, but to upgrade to a better seal, I had to take a side entrance to the new and upgraded Castle Morn, all the way to the back where you get this really cool entrance to take on a new boss called Shabriri's Chosen. Now, this guy is an absolute fraud, because I am in fact Shabriri's chosen, and I made sure he knew that by squashing him. But in all seriousness, this fight is actually pretty hard for an early game area, because this guy has some really nice wombo combos that can catch you off guard. No, oh my gosh. No, no. Dude. Now, usually in my convergence runs, I only start taking on the main story bosses after I've acquired the final Radiant rune, but this time it seemed more in the flow of the run to finish off Margit and Godric first, because you naturally run into Haeda's first location after beating Godric. Margit was pathetically useless by this point and got absolutely obliterated by Shabriri's Revenge, which is the Three-Finger Blade's unique skill. Then, Godric was equally pathetic and was a perfect opportunity to showcase some of the new spells like Three-Finger Flare and Mark of the Frenzy, which were both pretty decent, but not really enough to make me continue to use them. After slapping down Godric, I run through his castle to pick up another Shabriri Grape, along with the Ivory Sickle. The Sickle was useful because it just gave a flat 10% buff to all Frenzy Flame incantations. Walking outside into the most beautiful area in the game, I give Haeda not one, not two, but three Shabriri Grapes before making her throw up. Quite violently, I might add. Girl clearly can't handle her grapes. We give her one more special fingerprint grape, which we picked up from Vike earlier, before we take the arduous journey to the capital, where we would next find Haeda deep within the subterranean shunning grounds. Quite possibly the worst and most monumentally confusing areas in the whole game. One painful journey later, and we come up against the stinky sewer Moog, who gets dealt with relative ease. And finally, at long last, we let these three fingers grip us firmly, and then pick up the Radiant Rune of Frenzy from Haeda's corpse.
Come on, baby, bye.
Now, these are what you might call juicy spells. Let's start off with the biggest and best, shall we? Chaos Beam. Completely broken, literally a fucking long-range laser beam. Then, surprisingly, Eye of Chaos was actually pretty bad. Did very low damage, and its only strength was Passive Madness build-up, which pretty much every aspect of this build already did. Apocalyptic Flame was a bit better and did some decent fire damage, but wasn't quite in the same league as the Homelander Laser Beam. Then, Heart of Chaos and Three-Finger Embrace were just spell and melee buffs, respectively. Now, with the build finally complete, there's only one thing left to do. Boss killing montage, baby. stained by my curse. Such shame I cannot bear. Yeah, so as you can see, Chaos Beam is quite stupid. It trivializes certain bosses and kind of makes the game boring after you get over that initial holy shit, I'm shooting a laser beam out my eyes. It does, however, have one major weakness in that it really sucks against aggressive bosses who like to close the distance. For this reason, I didn't dare use it against the enemies like Segure the Knights Captain, as that would have ended very poorly indeed. Now, as I'd already asserted my dominance over Sewer Moog, I felt like it was fitting to further assert this dominance over the bigger and better Moog, which was also a perfect time to showcase, once again, scenarios where Chaos Beam thrives. Moog spawns approximately 2 light years away from you, and instead of being aggressive, he likes to take a leisurely stroll towards you, which means he gets completely annihilated by Chaos Beam. That's what you get for being lazy, buddy. But then, with Grank and Malekith, Chaos Beam becomes interesting, because the beginning of this fight can be both a strength and a weakness for Chaos Beam, and it all depends on what the big doggo decides to do. In some cases, he is slow in the draw, which gives you enough time to charge the beam and basically one-shot him into the next phase, but other times he decides he'd like to be aggressive from the rip, and punishes you most grievously. I don't know what triggers this aggression or passiveness on his part, so if someone knows, please tell me, because I remember even on my first playthrough it bothered me that sometimes I was able to get off my summons and other times I wasn't. Anyway, the rest of the fight with Malekith went rather swimmingly. I do think I've gotten much better with his moveset, and he's actually not so bad after all. GGS, Malekith. Boy oh boy, at this point we reach what I considered to be the major weakness of this entire build, and it comes in the form of this fat oaf. The reason this build performs so poorly against Fire Giant is because basically the entire build does exclusively fire damage. Even the weapons did pure fire damage with 0 physical damage, and it doesn't take a genius to realize that the Fire Giant is incredibly resistant to fire damage. Shocker. So this fight took painfully long, as I wasn't really putting up the damage numbers I'd been seeing against other bosses. But Fire Giant is still pretty useless and easily telegraphed, so we took him down very easy in the end. Whilst preparing physically to yeet myself into a giant fiery bowl, I was also preparing mentally for the final flurry of fights that would take place in the Ashen capital. The first of which being against the almighty Crucible Betrayer, Scarred. This dude is an absolute unit, and this time I decided not to cheese him in any way and just go straight up 1v1 sword-on-sword combat with the 3-finger blade. It turns out I've gotten pretty decent at the Convergence mod and managed to hold my own against the alpha male himself. Now, I've done more than enough yapping for this video, so for the final boss gauntlet, I'm going to let you witness my live reactions to the playthrough, so you can get more of a feel for what the flow of combat is like, because up until this point, this video has been more storytelling than gameplay. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure you go check out all my other Convergence mod playthroughs I have on the channel, as I've already done a bunch and plan on doing loads more. Until next time, my sweetings. Please just leave me alone, thank you. Dodge that very badly. Jump hit. Bro, leave me alone. I need a heal. Oh goodness. Oh my gosh. Charge R2. Wow, I got caught by both of those. It's very unfortunate. I'm gonna heal up here. Definitely safer to heal than to get off a hit. Okay, I'm just gonna let this spell heal me up. Okay, oof. He's calmed down a bit. I would like you to get away from me, please. Thank you. Oof. Clench my bum there. Come on, give me a punishable attack. Come on. Please. I thought that wasn't going to hit. Okay, this is a punishable attack. Nice. Oh, I thought I could jump that. I ran out of stamina though. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. I've got this big brusque man on me. Oh gosh. Heal, please. Jesus Christ, that was close. One jump hit should kill him. Okay, he juked me there. Oof. Thank goodness. Drink pot. Mind melt. Disintegrate. And then 3, 2, 1. Laser beam. Which just completely annihilates his HP. Drink our pot. And 3, 2, 1. Laser beam before he manages to stomp. Lovely. Really challenging first phase. Okay, don't want to get grabbed. So we're just going to run away. Gonna get out of that range and then spam away with this. Jump out of the range of that. He's roaring at me. Okay, now we spam this. He's very low. Just don't want to get hit by that. I'm out of FP. Oops. We don't want to get kicked either. Okay, come on, just spam. He should die. There we go. Whew. Easy peasy, no problem. Perfecto. Nice. Damn, this is a perfect cycle on Radagon. Oh, that. There we go. Damn, that was one of my best Radagon fights ever. That was literally perfect. Boom and boom and R2. R2. Nice. Another one. Missed, unfortunately. Nice. Jesus, I've never seen that attack. Nice. Yes. Ooh. There we go. And finally, boom. Thank goodness. Night, night. We fucking did it.